are you?
Hello, hello, how are you?
Look at you. Well, future data scientist, what's
yeah,
up?
hopefully.
You already have the watch, good. And you are who?
Who am I?
Gee, sorry.
Malaysia.
Where am I oh!
We have been talking,
Oh!
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought you were white. Yeah.
No.
That's what I thought. Good, excellent. Okay, awesome. So, thanks for organizing.
Yeah.
You have a data science club? That's awesome.
Yeah,
How do you have that? It's really
I
good.
mean, it was missing here in Holt, so we decided why not bring it.
That's awesome. Do you know this is a very good meetup called PyData? Do you know this one?
Yes.
You know. And the other guys, Open Data Science with the Russian guys. They have a very strong meetup, very technically very strong. So it's very cool. Awesome. There's also a boutique AI consulting company here called Reactor that you should definitely go and visit. I think I told you, right?
Yeah, I know. I missed something on Saturday, so I'm really bummed about that.
Oh.
Because, you know, I have responsibilities here and
Oh,
things like that.
the meetup, yeah. Did you go?
Yeah.
Did you
no,
go?
I didn't get a chance because
Why? Why?
I got dragged into other people's things.
You got drunk?
Dragged. No, dragged. Not drunk. Don't worry.
No problem.
Not
That's
on
fine.
campus, at least.
Cool, awesome. So I guess you want me to talk about things that can help you in your career, right? To power up your career, or how does it work?
Probably more so towards the end, just to give people a little bit of time to digest the topic overall.
Yeah.
A lot of people are really confused. What is data science versus data analytics versus big data? How is this working in the future for all of our careers?
And how, yes,
Yeah.
it's universal to everything.
Yeah.
This is something that we've really struggled.
Yes. Keep talking. So big data, analytics.
And understanding how it applies to the different industries, the different career
Oh
roles.
yeah.
Yeah.
Roles.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like,
And then-
would any of you consider going to work to McKinsey?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Analytics, big data, what else? AI? No. Yes? No?
No, I think AI is
And business models, right?
And just like how to not
Yes.
get overwhelmed and find a direction. I think that's the really hard part, right? It's like we try and introduce it and people are like, and then there's this many different directions that you can go
Yeah.
in terms of data, in terms of AI, in terms of technology, in terms of
So
all
many
stuff.
directions where to
Exactly.
start.
Yeah.
where
And
to-
how do you know which one's worthwhile for your time if it's going to take, you know, this huge learning curve to start? So that
The
people
learning
are
curve.
motivated without being intimidated.
Ooh. Motivation, intimidation. Interesting. The learning curve. Because, yeah, it's a great chance now. There's this wave called data science, and you have to surf it.
Exactly.
When you catch the wave, you catch it.
Exactly. I
If
mean,
you don't catch it, you lose it.
Yeah.
perfect.
Awesome. Okay, cool. We'll do that.
Okay.
I think that's what I would like to receive, actually.
Okay, awesome. I'm just going to make sure that everyone's ready.
Yeah, of course. We'll give people a few more minutes to come in and then
Yeah.
we'll see if we have
Sure. Fantastic. Great. Hi, guys. Can you introduce a bit yourself so I know who I'm talking to? Starting by the white guy. Yes.
I'm Christian.
Christian, hi.
Hello. I'm studying here.
Yes.
MIB,
MIB, which means?
a Master of International Business.
I knew it.
Sure.
Where are you from?
From Denmark.
Wonderful. Don't look like Dubai guy, but anyway. Do you know anything about data science?
Yeah, a bit, but it's not compared to you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharon and also I'm MIB
Yes.
and I'm from Mexico
Muy bien.
and and I know the basics about this
Awesome. The basics meaning what?
data.
Are you familiar with Python and notebooks and stuff like that?
No.
AI, okay. Analytics?
Yeah, I know.
My name is Saina,
Yes.
and I'm from India.
Yes.
I'm a big product here.
Yes.
And I'm doing my MIB.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And not like don't know any basics like as of now. But
Okay.
yeah, trying to learn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Grace.
Grace.
MIB as well.
Yes.
Um,
Go on.
I'm from Nigeria. I'm a lawyer. And I know a bit about analytics from
Malaysia's been teaching you analytics?
Yes.
Interesting. What kind of analytics?
Just maybe introduction into
Excel. She mentioned that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic. Somebody else want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Hugh. I'm also MIB. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago.
You can use this to speak. You see?
Can't hear me?
No, this one.
Okay. So what else did you want to know?
What's your relationship with data science?
Data science. Tentative.
Positive. Do you want to make a career in data science, or do you think you can use data science to improve your career prospects, for
I
example?
would like to get a specialization in analytics, so to help augment my further education.
That's very wise. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Elijah. I'm from Ghana and I'm also MIB. I've only been learning about big data and analytics from Korea and Malaysia, so that's the only thing I know. But I mean, I see in my career I work in consulting, so I think it's very important to know
Definitely.
some of that.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Hi, I'm Alavika. I'm also in the MIB program. I'm originally from India, but grew up in England. And I just wanted to hear your presentation for today and know more about data analytics than I have. Thanks.
Very good. Somebody else want to introduce? Yes? Okay.
Do I need to press?
I don't know, just talk.
Hi, so I'm Aretha.
Ha.
Hello. Well, I'm Aretha, and I'm currently doing my executive MBA. And I'm from New York. My relationship with data analytics is that I'll be specializing in it this summer, but as of now, I don't have much information about it, but I'm really interested.
Do you think you want to use big data and analytics to power your career?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Definitely. Okay, cool. Awesome. Great. Somebody else wants to introduce yourself?
Good one. My name is Marcus, also in the MIB program. I have very rudimentary skills in analytics. I did a modular course, however you want to call it, in Australia about a bit over a year ago. I'm fascinated by the topic. I think it's some of the legendary story. I'm sure you heard like the Starbucks story.
No, I haven't heard the Starbucks story. What is it?
The Starbucks story is they launched a new product. What exactly about some kind of coffee or drink, and they monitored Twitter and the social media, and they noticed from the feedback that it was a little bit too expensive, so they lowered the price of that. But how long did that take? It took 4 hours.
Ooh.
From 4 hours from product launch to they dropped the price.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. I didn't know that one. Okay, well, welcome everybody. My name is Jose Berengueres. I'm a professor at UA University. And I teach here sometimes. In the summer, I was teaching big data analytics, where we teach big data analytics to people like you. So today I'm going to talk about the information I would like to receive when I was in your situation. Okay, so it's not going to be very deep, but I think it's going to be very useful. So the first thing I want to say is that there's a lot of hype now about data science, but there's still a lot of opportunity, so definitely it's worth taking into this. So if any of you knows analytics or a bit of data science or can code in Python and do statistics in Python, call me. I will send your CV to McKinsey, because McKinsey now is recruiting a lot of people that can do this, basically. So it's a really good skill to have. And they will do a test for you, which is in Python or R language. Okay? So if you know Python or R language and you can analyze a small data set quickly, you have a job, basically. So that's how good it is. Yes.
I just have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not so familiar with languages for data, but I'm just curious that what's the main difference between R and Python?
Very good question.
And there's another one called SQL.
SQL, yeah.
Okay, that's a great question.
Which is the most popular, and which one should we focus on more?
Definitely. Anybody has a guess? Python. Why? Python, R, SQL. Awesome. Yes, who said Python? Why?
Actually, I know someone who did this course in this, and I asked him the same question, and he told me Python. Because he works in the US, and he said that most of the companies are using either Python or SQL, and like as a requirement for data analysis and business analysis.
Okay, great.
I'm just guessing, is it because Python is an easy language to use?
I'm going to draw a chart now, okay? So we are here now, and this is 2000s. And what's the best language to do data science? It used to be R. R comes from a language called S, which was developed by statistics people. And there was no good language to do statistics, so they developed R. And for a while, R was the best language ever to do data science. But what happened? There's this thing called Python, and Python has a very strong community. And I would say that now Python surpassed R, and it will keep going, and R will die. And there's exceptions. For example, if you are in biomedical field, if you work for Novartis, like if you're a biostatistician, they still use R. Does that make sense? But deep learning, all this new stuff, it's Python. Does it make sense? So if you're going to learn something, do not learn R, because they're going to think you're 50 or 40, okay? Just learn Python. Make sense? SQL, it's a language, or no, I don't know, is to do queries to the databases, so it's great if you know it. It should take 1 day to learn SQL for you, okay? So, got it? So don't say you know SQL. Like it's a given. It's a given. SQL is a given, okay? So you can use SQL inside Python. You can use SQL inside Python. So imagine you have a huge database, you want to do a query, you would use SQL inside your code to do the query. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, so that's done. So learn Python, not R. That's super important, because R is going to die. Yes? There's other languages or softwares like Stata. Do you know this one? Stata. SPSS. Do you know this one? SPSS is the same as R, but it's a private company. So in psychology, they use SPSS. In many companies, some biomedical companies, they still use SPSS. But right now, everybody's going to Python because it's just better, faster, easier. Yeah, so that's one thing. OK, good. So that's one. I heard you're learning Excel. Is that correct? Yes? Do you like it?
Yes.
So this is so we said there's a lot of hype in data science, right? And you can get good jobs in data science. But somebody said last week, in 2029, data science is just going to be another tab in your Excel. Yes, and this is true. You got it? All the data science you will learn in this year, it's probably going to be automated. And you can see the trend every day. Excel is getting better. Every day there's a new software that does what it used to take 1 day in 1 minute, and so on. Got it? OK, question for you. What do you think is the job of a data scientist? Yes.
I would imagine to collect all the data, analyze it, and to do a prescriptive analysis.
Okay.
To tell what the company should do.
Okay, okay, that's good, that's good. How do you think the day of a data scientist looks like?
So basically, what I assume it to be would be that they go through data and they look at trends and they try to somehow put it into an algorithm and see the relation between different
Yes.
components and then obviously come up with solutions to solve problems, come up with campaigns that.
I'm a data scientist. I wake up in the morning, I have my coffee, have a shower, go to work at 9. How do you think I spend my time? Say hi to the boss, go into the computer, and then what? How do you think I spend my time? So if this is, what, 8 hours more or less, about 6, I'm going to spend cleaning data. Cleaning data. I go to the company. Imagine I'm a consultant from McKinsey. I go to the airline, some airline somewhere. Data science projects. We want to be the best in analytics, blah, blah, blah. This is our data. Usually it's a mess. Or they're not collecting it, or both. So they have some Excels here, and what you will find is that 6 hours of your 9 hours is going to be cleaning data, talking to people. Where is this Excel? Is this Excel correct? Why is this format different from here? It breaks my code because the formats are different, blah, 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 blah. Not sexy. And the rest, you'll spend 1 hour eating. And the next 2 hours you're going to spend actually doing the sexy work, which is what? Modeling the data, right? Oh, I'm going to predict this, I'm going to predict that, I'm going to do this presentation, and look, customer value acquisition, we could do this and that, that Starbucks stuff you're saying. That's just 2 hours. Does that make sense? It's a really tough, ungrateful job. Okay? There are many roles, but that's basically the reality of it. Yeah. So there's a thing called data engineer. That's what I've just described. There's other types of roles like machine learning expert. Machine learning. Talk about this later. They do more of that, but they also do a lot of this. Does that make sense? Yes? But still, it's really good to find a job. Okay, so we got this covered. Are you learning Excel? Are you learning the shortcuts in Excel? Yes?
Yeah.
Great, because there's this joke in New York. You're from New York. There's a guy in the Goldman Sachs office in New York, and he has some scissors. And when he sees an intern using the mouse and Excel at the same time, he will go and cut the mouse cord. And he'll say, use shortcuts. If you want to impress your employer, it's good to know the shortcuts. It will save you so much time in your life, and it doesn't look professional if you are using the mouse. Sounds good? So I spend 3 hours memorizing the shortcuts. It's so useful. Cool. What else? What is AI? Anybody knows what is AI? What is AI? Yes. But what is it?
It is a software mechanic that analyzes, is taught basically through a lot of data what the input is translated to. So pretty basic, they can do one or a few things very well.
Okay, good. AI, yeah, artificial intelligence. What about machine learning? What is that? Anybody? You will see job offers like machine learning expert. We need one. What is that? No? Yes?
I'm not sure, but
Shoot. Yes.
but I'm thinking because AI is artificial intelligence, which goes hand in hand with machine learning. So I would assume where you tell the machine what to do and how to, is it in programming or something of that sort?
Data science.
A machine or something?
And data science, what is that? Something like that, yes?
Yeah, I think they all just go hand in hand together.
Yes. So let me tell you the story. AI is machine learning when you don't know why it works. When you do something, you make this awesome predictive system, super complicated, or you program Alexa AI or Siri. It's very complex, like a black box. All what it is just algorithms. But when it's something like new and flashy, you call it AI. Make sense? That's the definition. When you don't know very well how it works, you call it AI. Make sense? AI got a very bad name, very bad reputation in the 60s, because in the 60s, people like me asked for many grants from the governments, and we said, look, there's this thing called AI, it's going to be awesome, you can use it for military applications, this and that, and many people got lots of money, but the computers were not fast enough to do anything interesting, so a lot of money was wasted. In the 90s, the same people, but different age, they asked again for money, and they couldn't go with this name anymore. So they said, it's a machine learning, it's machine learning. So that's the story, got it? But it's basically the same stuff. Data scientist is a more recent term. It was coined by a guy in San Francisco a few years ago in 2000, I think it was 2011, something like that. No, a bit earlier, 2007, something like that. To describe the job that was becoming very, very, very commonplace, which is about cleaning data and then modeling the data. That make sense? Okay, so these are interesting things. What about big data? What is that? Anybody has an idea? Yes, my favorite purple hair person. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
No, big data is literally big data. It's a big bundle of data.
Okay, I like the definition. Let's. I'm very visual, so I'm going to make a chart. This is kilobytes of data, okay? So let's say I have 1 kilobyte. Is this big data? Or what about 1 terabyte? Is this big data? No. After which it becomes big data? Exabytes. I didn't even know what's that. What's an exabyte? Petabyte. Petabyte, okay. So when it becomes big data then, what's the rule? What do you think? When it's what is that? A good rule of thumb, not to be embarrassed, is like if you need something else different from your laptop to analyze the data, if you need a cluster of computers, you call that big data. That's a good rule of thumb, not to be embarrassed. Make sense? Sometimes the data is so big, it doesn't fit in your laptop. It just doesn't fit. Or even if you had 1,000 laptops, you wouldn't be able to process the data in a reasonable amount of time, 1 week. For example, an example of big data is all the data in Facebook. If you had to tell me the histogram of age of people using Facebook, I have to go to each user and compute the age, which is taking it from the database, SQL, and then bring it back, right? Because there are so many users, it would take me a long time just to get the numbers. And then I would do averaging, yes, which would take a few minutes depending on how fast is my laptop. But to get the data would be very expensive, right? So this is an example of big data. It's not feasible with my laptop and a centralized system to do it. This kind of problem is solved. It's solved by a thing called Hadoop. Hadoop, okay. So many times you will find that the information you want is just averages of groups of people. So for example, this case of the average age of the Facebook user or the histogram. I don't need to have all the ages in my laptop to know the average age. I could just go to the different computers where Facebook resides in the cloud, right? And tell each one of those computer servers, tell them, hey, take your users you're managing and tell me the average age of your users. I can do that, right? And because that is distributed, it's much faster. Does it make sense? So I can send a command, say, hey, computer servers of Facebook, send me the average age of your user. They will send me back, and then I would receive maybe 10,000 numbers. And then I can compute the average age very quickly. That is more or less big data. A way to work which is taking advantage of the distributed, of the cloud. Does that make sense? Yes? And you use a thing called Hadoop to do that. Hadoop. 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 It's something that lets you do what just I explained.
Okay, it's like a software.
It's a layer of software.
Okay.
It's an interface. Does that make sense? Cool. So as you can imagine, the definition of big data has been shifting very quickly. So every year, it's a bit higher. Does that make sense? Yes? In 2011, very few companies in America used Hadoop. Now, almost all the companies use Hadoop, the big ones, Fortune 500. Does it make sense? I remember a very embarrassing episode. I went to visit this company called Pandora. And I wanted to look smart, and so I asked the guys, so you use Hadoop? And they say, why would you use Hadoop? We don't have enough users, right? So, makes sense? Average salary of a data scientist, significantly higher than other. If you want to find salaries, you can find them here. And as I tell you, McKinsey, but a lot of interesting strategy consulting firms are hiring people that knows a bit of Python. But you need to know it. Like they will give you a test, an online test, time limit, 60 minutes, and they will tell you, this is the table. Tell me how would you calculate the average for columns of the table. But if you do it, you'll get in. Cool. We talk about machine learning. This is a conference on deep learning and neural networks. It's a very interesting conference because it used to be a very boring conference, but then a few years ago, the companies like Amazon, Microsoft realized, oh my God, we need these guys for our AI applications. So they start going to these companies to hire people, and the salaries they pay is like $1 million, stuff like that. That had never happened before. Professors never got salary offers of $1 million. So it's a very interesting time. What else? Before going into data science, you want to know a few things. Data scientists are a very special kind of people. This is a survey from the website Kaggle. Kaggle is where I learned all the data science I know. So I'll tell you the story in a few minutes. But this is a survey. Are you familiar with the Myers-Briggs test? Myers-Briggs test. Can you tell us what is it? You did it?
Yeah, we all
Who is ENFP? Raise your hands. ENFP. Nobody? INTJ? You're INTJ? Okay, don't take this personally. So, Kaggle is the largest data science community in the world. And this is the distribution of personality types. These are called introverts, right? These are called extroverts. Kim Kardashian. Here. Okay, cool. So data science is a very special kind of, the successful ones, the really freak ones, is a very special kind of person. Somebody that can spend a lot of time doing this by himself is not exactly what you would call a super social person. Does this make sense? Yes? So you want to hang out with data scientists before going deep into this field and say, do I want to look like these people or not? A way to find out very quickly is go to a meetup called PyData or the Open Data Science Meetup in Dubai, which is organized by my friend Pavel. He's a typical data scientist. So have you seen The Big Bang Theory? So Sheldon, that guy. That's him. So you decide what you want to do with your life. Okay, cool. Yes?
What's the name of the test, the personality test again?
Myers-Briggs.
Sorry?
Myers, M-E-Y-E-R-S, hyphen Briggs, B-R-I-G-G-S. It's the most common personality test used.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Kaggle. Okay, I'll tell you my story how I ended up in data science. Kaggle is a website founded by Anthony Goldblum. He's a guy from Australia. He left his job at the bank to start this. What is this? A few years ago, like in 2011, he realized that there was an explosion of data and in the companies, but inside the company there was no knowledge, no people that could analyze or extract the value from the data, like make models and stuff like that. So he had this great idea, which is make a website where companies can show their data and organize competitions and tell data scientists who are bored at home watching Netflix, say, guys, challenge here. You want to do it? He's like offering candy to kids. They would do it for free, but on top of that, he offered prizes. So the company would anonymize the data, put it online, and then there would be a 2-month competition with a leaderboard. So it would be, Jose is now number 3, and this Russian guy is, you know. And so that created a very cheap source of very good models for the companies. And it was a great idea. It just didn't work. Because it turns out that there's not so many companies willing to show the data like that. So then they start organizing private competitions, but it didn't work out either. It's very expensive to have a website like this and to run competitions and so on. Anyway, something more interesting happened. A community of data scientists start forming. People start learning from each other. They start allowing share your code like GitHub. So people start learning from each other. And so that's where I learned all the data science I know. I did not learn it from books. Does that make sense? And that's where, if you want to learn, you should start, because it's the fastest, easiest, nicest, I don't know how to say it. This is a typical tutorial that people do. Titanic, predict who will survive the Titanic based on your gender, age, and cabin location in the ship. It's pretty good. Some people achieve like 89%. Yeah, it's incredible. Good, awesome. Does this make sense? So Kaggle. And why did I start using Kaggle? So one day I was a bit bored and I was on Facebook and I saw my friend and he just posted, I won the Kaggle competition. I thought, you won the Kaggle competition? You can do it, I can do it too. Yeah, totally ego-driven. So that's how I started. Does this make sense? Kaggle has been great. Employers will look at your Kaggle profile, at your code, at how many likes the things you share get to decide if they will hire you or not. Kaggle also will give you money if you make something nice. So sometimes I get money like, oh, you have a lot of likes, here's $1,000. good job, and stuff like that. Now, something, oh, sorry, yes.
No, it's fine. So it sounds like I was more like for people who has like a technical background.
Totally technical.
What if you're not? Can you still go?
If you're not, you will probably managing or interacting with this kind of people, right?
Yes.
It doesn't hurt to check how they are. The most important skill if you're not a data scientist is to be able to detect data scientist bullshit. Does it make sense? In companies, there's people that say, I know data scientists, they're working there and know what they're doing. Does it make sense? I advise some companies in Dubai, and sometimes they ask me, can you check? Can you come and check if our data science I know, I will not say the name of the company. Okay, cool. So that's it. Yes?
If you want to check, even if you can't tell us the company, were they the ones that do the data science team that you checked, were they legit or did they talk more? Was they actually perform?
I will not disclose this information, but very few things you can check is a good data scientist will start by developing a simple model and then make it more complex. Another problem with data scientists is that many times the model suffers of a thing called overfitting, where you are predicting basically, you're wasting time because you're predicting something that doesn't exist because your model has too many parameters and you are overfitting something, the training set, right? So one very quick way, because this is the #1 problem with data scientists, is your data scientist doing a thing called cross-validation? Is your data scientist testing that the data is not biased? Because if the data is biased, your predictions will be biased, and then you're just wasting time. So a very quality control way to do that is like ask him about the quality control. Like, are you cross-validating? How did you make the training set? Is it balanced? Stuff like that. That's the fastest way to find out if somebody really knows what he is doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Cool. Awesome. So that's something. What else I was talking about? Yeah. That's it. Cool. If you want to see how a boutique data science consulting or AI consulting company is, there is one here in Dubai. It's a Finnish company. It's called Reactor. Pavel Nesterov, the organizer of the Open Data Science Meetup, works there. They're hiring a lot, too. So you can ask for, hey, can we come and show us the company, right? The last time I went there, they were optimizing revenue for a telco operator. This telco operator had hired some Indian software company that said they knew data scientists, but they didn't. And now they will tell you about it. They're so proud of it. Okay, so that's very interesting. And last thing I want to say, Netflix. Oh yeah, I forgot, yeah, Kaggle, right? So Kaggle didn't manage to make money, but it got bought by Google. Who can tell me why would Google buy a money-losing data science community? Not the data. Good try. For the talent. Definitely not, but close. Yes, for the community, but why?
Because it's a community of problem solvers and coders.
Yeah, but they're not your workers, so it's just a community.
Yeah, but it seems to be wanting to do stuff, so you can possibly just feed some things in and see if it works.
No.
I think because Google itself already has so much data, and there's so many companies that work with Google.
Yeah.
And Google has all those analytics, and then, like, the thing that Kaggle couldn't take off was because
Okay,
they don't have data.
because they think they can make it profitable? No.
Yeah.
Good try.
It's just an avenue that they use to source talent.
Very good, but they don't need to do that, but no. Yeah, somebody else? Yes.
Location?
Location.
Strategy. Strategy, location, known for, we do might be Google, they might have different places, but this particular area is.
Yes, no, no.
With the wide range of talent on Kaggle, you can outsource your problems that you can't solve in-house.
Yes, but no. Okay, the reason is there is a war going on now between Amazon and Google and Microsoft. It's called the cloud war. AWS against Microsoft Azure, and what's the other? And Google TensorFlow. Got it? Google Cloud. Cloud is a huge business. I think Amazon cloud business is about $10 billion valuation. It's huge. This is the future of everything. So why would Google want to buy Kaggle? Because Kaggle has a place where you code and you try your stuff, right? So now Kaggle says, and hey, Jose, now you can use for free Google Cloud storage and our Google TensorFlow tools for machine learning. So I get used to it, and then I go to work to McKinsey, and McKinsey says, Jose, what cloud storage should we use? And I say, Google, right? And that's the reason. You get it? Yeah. Awesome. The last thing I want to talk about is business models. So all this is changing the business models. You talk about Starbucks. So if you saw the Netflix business case, did you see it? Netflix?
Yeah.
Do you see the Netflix business case? No? Okay, so Netflix is a great example of how big data can help you earn a lot of money. The CEO of Netflix is a computer science graduate. That's the reason. Netflix makes a lot of money. Some people say it has rendered Hollywood obsolete. Why is that? Because movies are boring compared to Netflix. They are boring. Tell me the last interesting movie you saw. You can't remember. Tell me the last interesting Netflix thing you saw. Which one movie, yeah?
Oh, I was saying Aquaman was so good.
Aquaman was good in the cinema? That's good. Could have made Aquaman 1. Somebody else.
I agree with Aquaman.
2. What about Netflix? Do you remember anything interesting? Which one is your favorite, the last one? Everything. Bohemian Rhapsody is it's a movie, it's not Netflix. But anyway, in general, I think you would agree that Netflix has been very successful in creating hits at a very low cost. And why is that? What? Because Netflix knows when you stop watching something.
They know everything about your viewing habits.
Everything, demographics, your credit card, everything. Not only that, they measure, for every movie thing, they measure 16,000 parameters. Things like the length of the movie, but also the language, but also how many jokes per minute are there. When is the first musical interlude? When is the first romantic scene? When is the second romantic scene? And if you look at the Netflix things, they're all starting to have the same pattern. You notice, yes? And they're highly addictive. And it's because they use data. And Hollywood, they still don't use data. They still rely on intuition and all that stuff. Whereas Netflix just goes data-driven. You get it? And that is the future of all business. So if you want to surf this wave, because what happened to Netflix, or you should say the Hollywood studios, which are obsolete, like really irrelevant. In the 60s, Hollywood was super important. Now, it's just what happened here will happen in many other industries, consumer packaged goods, Starbucks, restaurants, etc., etc., etc. And that's the reason McKinsey is hiring a lot of people that can program a bit of Python, because the customers want this. And that's the core of the strategy right now for many businesses. Yes?
So in order to, I guess, to an extent, at least be able to work, or at least be able to work with data scientists, what level of knowledge or knowledge would you need to develop in Python, for example, to be able to get into that sphere?
If you want to pass this McKinsey test that I saw, I think 3 months of Python learning, it's more than enough. Yeah, yeah. And there are many roles in a data science-driven consulting team. Many, 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 many roles. And I didn't talk about data visualization, but the job that Sheldon would do is very important, but more important is how to transform it into value, how to explain it to management, how to make it actionable. If you go to Kaggle, you will see many data scientists, excellent technical skills, terrible explanation skills, terrible, 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 terrible. To start with, most of them are male and colorblind, so the charts they make are disaster. Does that make sense? So there is a lot of opportunity. Got it? Questions? 5 minutes. Questions? Questions? No? Okay, well, that's it, and I'll see you in Kaggle. I hope you make your own profile. Yeah? Awesome, good. You're welcome.